County Antrim in Northern Ireland, home to one of the most dramatic and luscious coastlines in the world, known as the Causeway Coast. It's here at the top of the cliff that I start my journey to see the wonder of the Giant's Causeway. It's a World Heritage Site that's visited by over 500,000 people a year, and it's by far the most popular tourist attraction in Northern Ireland. But was it created by nature or legend? That's what I'm here to find out. The discovery of the causeway was reported to the wider world in 1694. Such a dramatic sight of the rock columns jutting into the sea caused much discussion amongst people as to whether it had been created by nature, man, or a local giant. It gained notoriety as word spread, and also after an artist, Susanna Drury, painted it in watercolours that were printed in a newspaper. The causeway soon became a tourist attraction. Commercial opportunities opened up for many people, and all along the pathway leading down to the causeway there have been stalls scattered along selling homemade souvenirs and refreshments for all the travellers. And one enterprising lady even set up her little shop by a well, selling the water but with free whiskey, obviously using a loophole in the law to get away without charging for the alcohol. So, what did they come to see? Well, looking at this, the Grand Causeway, a spectacular sight, a series of basalt columns, some 40-odd thousand of them, and it really is quite breathtaking. The majority of the columns are hexagonal in shape, but there are many 5, 7 and 8-sided versions. And it's so understandable to see why many people thought that this could have been created by ancient workers in a brick-like fashion, or single-handedly by one big giant. But the legend of the giant in question, allegedly responsible for the creation of this wonder, is a story in itself, so we'd better start there. The legend begins many years ago when Finn McCool and his band of warriors heard that a giant called Benadonna from Scotland was up for a fight. Finn and his rivals started throwing rocks at each other in the sea, creating the causeway we see today. When the Scottish giant arrived, Finn ran to his wife to seek some advice, and she suggested that he dressed as a baby, lay in the cradle in the house. So when Benadonna saw the size of Finn McCool's baby, well, he thought his dad must be absolutely massive, so he beat a hasty retreat back to Scotland, tearing up the causeway behind him. There are many versions of this legend and many other stories featuring Finn McCool in Irish folklore, so he remains today an important figure in history. But if we're talking giants, just how big are we talking? Well, this rock is reputedly the giant's boot, kicked off by Finn or by Benadonna when he went running back to Scotland. And apparently it works out at a size 93.5. Now compare that to my size 9.5 and you get an idea of just how huge he was. And there is a lot of other evidence littered throughout the coast supporting the McCool legend. In the first bay, we can see Finn's trusty steed, a camel, so tired from his journey that he's still in his sitting position. And over on the far bay are the chimneys of his house and his organ. But there's another bit of magic that's captured my imagination. Well, I've perched myself in this natural seat, which is known as the wishing chair, and it's set right in the middle causeway, or the honeycomb as it's known. And legend has it that if you wriggle 3 times while sitting in this chair and make a wish, then it's bound to come true. So let's give it a go. Here we go. There we are. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I wish for, but I can tell you this chair is jolly comfortable. In fact, it's so well worn, it's perfect. But I can't come here today and not talk about the likelihood that the causeway was in fact a natural geological event. Volcanic movement underneath the surface of the earth millions of years ago forced lava above ground, and when it cooled down it shrank and cracked to form this pattern. I can see why many people thought this was a man-made structure, because these columns that seem to be floating out of the ground appear regular in shape and size and in brick-like fashion. Just look at that in those segments. But there are other causeways and columns dotted around the world, including one in Stafford, home to the Scottish giant Benadonna, thus perpetuating the myth of the causeway. Whatever the reasons behind the Giant's Causeway, man, myth or nature, whichever you choose to believe, there's no escaping. This has to be one of the most dramatic sights in the world. And for me, this part of the causeway is like taking a walk with the ancient Irish spirit.